Hi, I'm Chuck. I thought I would explain to you today a method of dream interpretation. I've been teaching this on and off for a couple of years now, and I see some people can't relate to it at all. They get up and leave in the middle of the session, and others really like it. Some people have gotten back to me afterwards and said, you know, it really works for them. So take it or leave it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We'll talk about some of the other types of dream interpretations also. Let me get into that in a little bit. There's a lot of different interpretations to dreams, different ways of interpreting them. And this is just one of the many. And the one you want to use is the one that works for you. So this one may not work for everybody, and that's okay. So right off, I will just run through it real quickly with you. There's 3 to 4 steps in it. So let's just jump right in. The first thing to do is remember the dream. So, you know, when you have it, get up and write it down. You know, have your pencil and paper ready and just do it. And so that's the first step. Second step is to write down also the emotions and the feelings that you had during the dream. This is very important. This is kind of like some people might call it the plot of the dream, and that's okay if you can relate to that. But just get down how you felt during the dream when it was happening, and write down those set of emotions. And then the third part is you take that set of emotions or the plot, whatever you want to call it, however you want to look at it, and you relate it to your real life. In other words, you find some incident. Remember back, probably just recently, but sometimes it goes way back, that some incident or event that happened that had that same set of emotions, that same plot. But it's going to be a different story usually. Won't be usually the same story as the dream was. It'll be a totally different story. And when you find that event from your real life, that is going to be what caused the dream. That's where the dream came from. And usually that will satisfy a person, unless it was a really bad dream, a nightmare type thing, especially a recurring one that has been happening over and over for days, weeks. Sometimes even some people have had recurring dreams for years. So they have to go clear back to however many years ago it was to find that incident that caused it. Sometimes just knowing where it came from isn't sufficient. And if it's not, then you move in to the fourth stage, which is a little bit tricky. I'm not a shrink. I'm not a psychologist, therapist, or anything like that, but that's what you're getting into here, is being that you're going to have to do something to solve the problem. In other words, if it's bothering you, that means there's a problem. So you might have to work at that. I certainly don't advise you to do anything violent, but you might have to do something to solve the problem. But it's no different than any problem in life. Everybody has to solve all kinds of problems, whether it's with your loved ones or with your neighbors or with somebody halfway around the world. So you gotta learn how to solve problems. So that's it right there. You got to do something about it in order to stop the dream from recurring. Okay, there is one of the other methods of, well, it's not really a dream interpretation method, it's lucid dreaming. And this is quite different than this method that I'm showing you. Is you want to be careful that if you are a lucid dreamer, that to not bring it into the interpretation on number 2 here, the second step. Don't bring lucid dreaming in as one of the emotions and plot, part of the plot in there. And this is because lucid dreaming is you are controlling the dream with your consciousness. Even though you're asleep, this is a method I don't use. I just touch upon it occasionally just to know it's there. But your consciousness is directing the dream in lucid dreaming. That's not what we're after here. We are here looking after trying to get the totally pure subconscious source of the dream. You are tapping into your subconscious, and that's what we want in this. We don't want to tap into the consciousness. There's a big difference there, because the subconscious, your subconscious is playing another game. It doesn't have any rules. It doesn't follow any rules of society. It doesn't care about our rules, our morals and things like that. It can do the impossible. It's kind of like your imagination. You're sitting here and you can imagine you can jump over the moon, you can crawl through that mountain over there, you could dig with your hands and fingers just down to the center of the earth. Your imagination can do that, but in reality you can't. So that's what we're after. We're after what the subconscious can do in freedom. Your consciousness comes in to say, no, I can't jump off of that cliff over there. So that's the difference. We're after what the subconscious can do on its own pure. It's creativity. That's what you're tapping into, is the creativity of your own creativity ability that your subconscious can do with you. So if you're a lucid dreamer, that's good. Nothing wrong with that. But we're not using that here. There's another thing on step number 2 that you don't have to worry about in this one, and that is symbols. Like Freud is big on symbols, that maybe a candle or a fire or something like that, or water has a different meaning than fire, and he makes specific symbols to have certain meanings. If a symbol shows up in your dream, something that really jumps out at you like that, we don't interpret it. Forget about it. If it really bothers you, then the way we would treat it here is we would treat it by saying, what does that symbol mean to you? And then whatever your answer is to that, that would be the emotion that it has created for step number 2. That's what we would use it for. It's what it means to you, not to some other society or something like that. Because symbols change. You got to realize, look at the Nazi swastika, how it has changed. It used to be a good symbol in both Buddhism and in the Pueblos in the Southwest here. It used to be a good symbol, but it changed. Through culture and through time, symbols will change. So we don't use symbols. It's what it means to you at this moment. And that's what we would use it for, is only as the meaning that you put to it. Then use that as part of the emotions that you're recording for step number 2.